Everyone, I'd like to formally say good morning to all in Harris Hall. Thank you for joining us, and those for joining us online. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Lane County Board of County Commissioners to order. It's Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. We've just passed the Easter season. I hope you all engage in what's important. I'm like you, looking forward to the warmth and the sun of April. I'm not looking forward to the weeds in my yard, however, but thank you all for coming. Good morning, my esteemed colleagues. Thank you for serving alongside with us. I'm thankful for your service to our county. Please note today we're down kind of one commissioner this morning. Commissioner Farr is going to come in remotely during the public comment session and for our time certain item at 10 o'clock, and then he'll be excused for the remainder of the day. So just note that on your agenda. Also, please note too for what's going on outside the hall right now with the police responses and the fire. There's been a gas leak at an adjacent building to the park block. Nothing for us to be alarmed of, but just so you don't think something's going on out there that is a little more dangerous than it actually is. So that's what's going on. In addition to that, I want to also recommend doing my flight attendant thing that we've now doing once a week when we have people like a crowd like this. There's 3 exits out of Harris Hall, obviously the one you came in on, and then the 2 in the back on the left wing and the right wing of this airplane. You can go out there. Please be reminded there will be no slides. So watch your step as you exit the vehicle and the Harris Hall. So thank you very much. Mr. Mograisky, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Do you have any adjustments to the agenda?
No.
I have one. Our county council has suggested that we move our scheduled afternoon executive session into next week. That's a 2-hour session that will be moved until next week. So I just want to let the public know about that. Any emergency business, sir?
No.
Super. We are going right into public comments. I have one sheet of public comments. Is that all I have? Because as we do have a time certain, I don't want to limit the time for 3 minutes, but if we have more than we can allowable in time, I may have to. So I have 14 on this sheet right here. 22 times 3 is an hour. So here's what we're going to do. I want your 3 minutes to be complete, but this is what we're going to have to do if we're going to get that accomplished in an hour. When I call your name on deck, I need you to stand right behind the podium and get ready so we're not looking at a lot of transition time between speakers. And please keep your comments. If you can shorten them to 3 minutes, that would be wonderful. But 3 minutes is what we're going to allow so that Commissioner Farr can join us on a time certain at 10 o'clock.
Did you need to say shorten them to 2?
No, 3 minutes. We're going to go for 3 minutes today. We're going to go for the marbles today. All right, so we'll move through this. Brian Matthews, please, followed by Claire G. We've given the procedures on public comments, which everyone's familiar with, so please do so in a respectful manner today. Thank you very much.
Chair Lovell, I am here.
Thank you. Commissioner Farr is now joining us for the record. Thank you, Commissioner. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Lovell, commissioners. Thank you for your service. My name is Brian Matthews. It's noteworthy, I consider myself a follower of Jesus Christ. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and I'm deeply committed to the community where I reside here, Lane County. My comments today are regarding the recently passed resolution. If the county wishes to aid persons identifying as transgender, it should recognize the real issue, which would be their identity, and I say this respectfully. The true struggle for them is internal, and that is not a subjective observation on my part. I believe it is objective. I have two sources. I didn't just
Recording stop. Recording in progress.
Sorry for interruption, please.
I didn't just consult. I tried to be broad in my sources. I'm going to cite some statistics from the American Psychiatric Association, which is very pro-DEI, transgender, and also the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project in 2024 did a study of all 50 of our United States, and I have the results for Oregon. So beginning with the American Psychiatric Association, those who identify as LGBTQ are more than 2.5 times more likely to have mental disorders than heterosexual. And again, I'm pointing to identity. Also, they're 2.5 times more likely to experience depression, anxiety, or depression. 30% of those who identify as transgender contemplate suicide as compared to 2% of heterosexual. The Trevor Project is definitely an LGBTQ advocate. And they did a survey of these 24 states. Here are the results for Oregon, which I'll need to put on my glasses. 41% of the young people in Oregon who identify as LGBTQ seriously considered suicide in the last year, including 45% of transgender and non-binary young people. 66% in Oregon reported experiencing symptoms of anxiety, including 72% of transgender and non-binary young people. 14% of those young people, LGBTQ, in Oregon attempted suicide in the last year, including 18% of transgender and non-binary. That's almost 1 in 5. And 57% in Oregon reported experiencing symptoms of depression, including 62% of transgender and non-binary.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Your time is up. Appreciate it.
Wow, 3 minutes is quick.
Claire G., followed by Julie Bivens, please.
Thank you for this opportunity this morning. And this is a matter of the reaffirming statement that is on the table to be signed. There are just way too many gaps in this hedge to sign it as is. Here are a few. It's missing a financial impact statement for review to all Oregonians. It is too focused on the special interests of LGB+ and immigrants, and not enough clarity in the language to describe the broad impact to all Oregonians. And point 3, providing sanctuary for those who have arrived and are living in the United States of America by any means other than in obedience to the just laws already in place for residing legally in this country, puts all that are engaged in an adversarial position to our laws and this subject to eventual legal action. Please do not sign this as is. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Julie Bivens, followed by Steve Miller.
Hi, I'm Julie, and my pronouns are
living in reality. I'd like to state that the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders lists body dysphoria as a mental disorder. No one would ever affirm an anorexic in their delusion. No one would ever use the pronouns overweight or fat because it's simply not true. XY chromosomes will never be female. XX chromosomes will never be male. Transitioned people have the highest suicide rate of any demographic. There's a lot of regret afterwards and a very high suicide rate. Affirming a delusion doesn't help anyone. I'm against any proclamation that gives support to anyone's fetish. Karen Carpenter was a drummer and a singer who died from her delusion. She was anorexic, she thought she was fat, she starved herself to death. Supporting a delusion doesn't help anyone.
Thank you. Brian Cuff, or Steve Miller, followed by Brian Cuff.
Well, good morning, fellow citizens, I believe. Commissioners. My name's Steve Miller. I'm a pastor of a local church in Springfield. Recently getting over a virus. But there is some exciting times coming up, we believe. I think you guys are going to be real busy. I think this place is going to be packed out. You might want to get a bigger building. We just finished last weekend a celebration. Some celebrated bunnies and eggs. We celebrated the resurrection of the living God, Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ said in his word that he's coming again. And he also gave explanation to help us understand the times before he returns. We find that in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 24. I have this written here. He said, "Watch out that no one deceives you, so it'll be a time of great deception. For many will come in my name, claiming I'm the Christ, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See to it that you're not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pangs. Then you'll be handed over to be persecuted." So as far as threatening or feeling threatened, I think Christians and the Jewish community can feel that these days are going to increase in the area of threats. "You'll be hated by all nations because of me, and at that time many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness or the increase of lawlessness, the love of most will grow cold. But he who stands firm to the end will be saved." And so a sense of lovelessness and a sense of lawlessness will be on the increase in the days ahead. So I think we need to be aware that lawlessness that we see today is going to be on the increase, and we need to watch out and support one another and encourage one another that these days are the prophecies before the return of good times, thousands of years of good times.
Thank you. Brian Cuff, followed by Austin Hodges.
Thank you, Commissioners, Administrator. I really want to address, just looking at the memorandum and the agenda of today, looking at what's, words that are used in this, like reaffirming, which already implies something's been affirmed. And then there's a connection I see in the reaffirming and affirming of just the Sanctuary Promise Act and the transgender community in Lane County. This smacks of special rights. All of this does. And when you read through the whole thing, affirm, sanctuary promise, as well as the value for. These two words are used over and over and over in this paperwork. And it says below is a summary of key action taken by the Board of County Commissioners in relation to immigration, refugees, and transgender communities. And then it goes into, foreign citizenship. It goes into denouncing white nationalism, acknowledging Pride Month. And then you get down to the goal. To me, this is the goal that I see in this paperwork is this. With a strong call for community members urging the declaration of Lane County as a sanctuary for transgender people. That's special rights. You start going down a special rights road, you got a problem. And I think that the special rights that are being asked for are inappropriate. When you look and they say that 10.5% of Oregon considers himself this way, but we only have so many resources inside the county itself. So why would we spend resources on something that's already affirmed? It says, another phrase, building systems that advance their efforts. What does that mean? Well, what kind of system is going to be built to affirm these efforts of getting these special rights? You get down and you see that they begin to intersect the community of foreigners with LGBT community. They're trying to pull something here that I think is totally, totally not what the county should do. I get to the end and I see, our administrator here, I saw on X, you made a post in March of 2021. He said, Lane County has the most diverse workforce despite having the diverse overall population. Yet it was handed to this workforce to come up with a statement that we're heading wrong. I think we should look at all. It should be this. Board of Management limited. Why would we use limited resources for just a few when also the state already covers this? Thank you.
Thank you for your public testimony. Austin Hodges, followed by Bruce Tufts, please.
Good morning. Good to see you again. So I come here again as first a man of God, but as a father and a husband, and I even have my daughter with me today. She wanted to speak, but I don't think it's appropriate for me to let her. She made a comment that you guys don't even listen to women, so what's the point? I asked her this morning, I said, hey, are you comfortable with a guy who thinks he's a woman? Are you comfortable with him being in your bathroom and in your locker room, watching you change, watching you go to the bathroom? What'd you tell me? No, why? Why is that? It's a 12-year-old girl knows it's inappropriate, knows it's disgusting, but you guys don't want to take the precaution to protect them. And like I've said before, there's extensions that I'm willing to go to protect my family that go far beyond any extensive measure you guys can take to pass an agenda. And I promise you that. And I'm not only here, I'm here a lot because I'm pissed off. The fact that this is still even a thing that we even talk about is unethical, it's immoral. And, if you read in Psalm 139, the Lord says we're all fearfully and wonderfully made in his image. And when you want to distort that, and when you want to start affirming people's mental delusions and things like that, it's only going to make it worse for them. They have the leading cause in suicide, the leading cause in mental health medications. They have the leading cause in sexual assault. Like I said last time, it's men affirming. That's not enough for you guys to kind of sit back and think, well, maybe we should about born into the world birth as women. You guys are stay with them. That is, the fact that Donald knows. Hope to get
Mayor.
Administrator. from them, not belief. My personal. Public Health Advisory Committee, we received public comments from members of our community. We expressed concern about the safety of transgender individuals and continued access to medications and care for valid and diagnosed medical, as well as isolation and discrimination due to the negative and hateful rhetoric they see as a rising threat to both them and their advocates. We also recognize that these concerns are not those of the transgender community alone, but are also currently shared by the immigrant and refugee communities as well, due to policy changes and scrutiny at the federal level. Our collective public health depends on the health and well-being of all members of our community. Therefore, in our role as community advocates and advisors to the Board of County Commissioners on matters concerning public health, we would like to communicate these recommendations. Specifically, we ask the board to consider publicly supporting and initiating endorsement seeking to instill provisions will protect while general gender-affirming care is under such attack. We also ask actively to explore avenues of organization.
Dermeyer, followed by Harry Walters, please.
Morning. My name is Dr. Marianne Diermeyer. I'm a primary care physician and have worked in public health for the CDC, state and local health departments, as well as in clinical practice, caring for patients. I currently serve on the Public Health Advisory Committee and support the letter presented by Bruce Tufts. The following are my personal comments. I'd simply like to share from my perspective as a physician what immigrant members of our community are going through. I think it's safe to say that we all have had some difficulty accessing medical care in Lane County over recent years. For our immigrant communities, this takes on a whole different level of challenges. Under threat of being arrested or detained, many immigrants, regardless of immigration status, are afraid to sign up for health benefits they may legally have a right to, opting to keep their heads down and hope for the best. Their fear is preventing them from seeking medical care when they need it or picking up prescriptions, with grave consequences. Infections spread, chronic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease are uncontrolled. Many are afraid to leave their homes and do so only to work. Among those who show up in clinic, we see so much stress, depression, and despair. This is true of immigrant populations as well as LGBTQ and other targeted populations. And I would differ with some of the previous speakers in that this is not inherent to these individuals. It's because they are subject to. All of this takes a huge toll on their health and their lives. It is heartbreaking, inhumane, and unacceptable. The vast majority of immigrants contribute to our society in so many ways. They perform countless jobs, often without health insurance or other benefits. We depend on their labor, and they deserve our protection and care. As physicians, we don't ask a patient's immigration status. We take an oath to care for the human being in front of us. And the truth is, at this point, immigration status is irrelevant. We can all legitimately fear the current abuse of power. The solution in my mind is to stand together and have the backs of every member of our community. Insisting on the rule of law and the principle of due process is paramount. We need to back our commitment to any Oregon Sanctuary Law or Sanctuary Promise Act comments with concrete actions that provide every member of our society with a sense of safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie Walters, followed by Darlene Raish.
Okay. Hello, my name is Carrie Walters. As a licensed psychologist, it is my ethical duty to follow best practices as determined by the most updated research in our field. Every medical and psychological association supports gender-affirming care. Right now, there are people working to remove rights from our transgender neighbors, eliminating their ability to access health care and to even exist within our community. There are people who want to erase and pathologize the entire LGBT community. Here's the thing, this is not new. Indeed, even the mental health field decades ago listed homosexuality as a mental illness. Conversion therapy for sexual orientation and gender identity used to be the norm. And it was only after years and years and years of clear harm caused by trying to force people to be who they are not that demonstrated loud and clear to our field that our LGBTQ neighbors represent the natural spectrum of human diversity. The field switched gears, and instead of trying to change sexual orientation and gender identity, we turned to supporting people. And we now have robust scientific research supporting the benefits and success of this supporting, affirming care. The science is clear. Queer people exist. Trans people exist. And the best medical and full lives to all not a tiny but mighty community are being directly targeted for erasure through elimination of rights and medical care. You have the power to protect the most vulnerable in our community. I wish we didn't need this statement, but we do. This statement is a shield to say not in our town, not in our community, and not in our county. And I ask what you will do with that responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Darlene Raish, followed by Sherry Jones, please.
Good morning. I rise in opposition to the sanctuary transgender bill or whatever it is. I do not want Lane County to become a mecca for transgenderism. I feel that the commission has better ways to spend our money. I understand that these people have needs, and I treat them with respect whenever I'm in association with them at an office or at a building, and I expect them to do the same for me. And if we all live as decent human beings, there's no reason why we can't all get along and not need special resolutions to make people a special group. It is your responsibility as commissioners to support and represent all of the people of Lane County and not just a special interest group. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry Jones, followed by Polly Hobbleston, I think.
Thank you. My name is Sherry Jones. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm here. I came here this morning specifically to thank you, Board of Commissioners, for the statement as it's been proposed and was published. I cried when I read it. And I want to say, though, today especially, that I know that I'm not alone as a parent and a supporter of the transgender community. And I know that there are folks here in this room that also are parent and family members of the transgender community. When my child came out to me as queer and transgender, I was so proud of them. I was so proud of them for figuring this out for themselves and being brave enough to tell their parents, even though it was me, pretty open, but they still formally came out to tell me who they really are as a person. And our bond was enriched by that. But as I left that conversation, I became increasingly afraid for their very existence, because I knew that they would be targeted by some of the same hateful rhetoric that I've heard here this morning. And it breaks my heart. And I'm crying now for the opposite of joy. I'm crying for the fear, for the hate that I hear. And some of what I heard today also reminds me of why I fight and want to stand up for the rights of transgender folks, because they are marginalized, and us as family members are trying our hardest to keep them alive and safe. So I want to go and thank all of you very much for all the work that you've done, and all of these, listening to all of our statements and testimonies, all of the statements and testimonies, because I think that they clarify each other. And I want to thank the Public Health Advisory Committee. It's very important to follow through on this. And so that makes me feel good. It's not just a statement, it's actually an action. I want to thank all those that did show up to support the transgender, and also especially the immigrant communities, because the fears are the same, the fears for life. And in the effort to support all these folks, I would really like to see a statement across, perhaps added to this current statement as it was published, to update and create policies all across Lane County to protect the rights of transgender people and immigrants. And that would be a good follow through and support on this. But thank you all very much.
Thank you, Polly Hobliston, and then followed by Janet Walling, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Polly Habliston, and I've lived in the River Road area for 46 years. We purchased our home on Dalton Drive in 1979. I come to you today to revisit the issue of local access roads, LARs, in the urban growth boundary. In the week since you were first approached on this issue, I and a number of other neighbors have been working to educate residents on this topic. The River Road Community Organization had a record turnout at their March meeting, with neighbors expressing dismay when learning for the first time that they are responsible for maintenance of the streets on which they live. Perhaps the most frightening was that they are liable for injuries that may occur in front of their homes due to the deteriorating conditions of the road, and that their homeowners or umbrella policies would probably not cover them because they do not own the road. We've been asking the Lane County Commissioners to pass an ordinance to incorporate residential LARs within the urban growth boundary into the county road system without first requiring that homeowners bring them up to current standards for new roads. I've been one of many getting petition signatures from residents of neighborhood streets, sharing information and hearing their concerns. Overwhelmingly, neighbors want this issue made right. We've heard from some residents that have lived in their homes for more than 60 years and had no idea they were living on LARs. Given the chance to vent, people are very distrustful of county and city officials. One resident said, "Good luck getting them to do anything. We've had squatters on this street for 2 years and they don't do to increase housing density and encourage new developments, resulting in much heavier traffic flow, is exacerbating an impossible situation. Our current LARs in the River Road area have not been paved since the sewer project in 1991. That's close to 35 years. It's been acknowledged and made clear that there's no mention of the existence of LAR on home deeds or sales agreements. You buy a home, you get inspections, you get title insurance. Who asks? Who maintains the road in front of this house? Commissioners, this is your chance to shine. to cause constituents to sit up and say they did the right thing. The number of roads we're talking about is very small, 6 to 7 out of 1,400 total county roads. We're not asking for a budget change. Just pull all the LARs in the urban growth boundary into the county road system. When their counterpart county roads were designated, residents were not assessed for bringing them up to code. There's no reason to expect immediate reconstruction of the roads we're talking about. We just ask that you eliminate the distinction. A road is a road. A county road is a county road. You can eliminate the liability issues in one fell swoop and make your constituents
Sorry, your time is
proud.
up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Janet Worings, followed by Stacy Pallado.
I'm Janet Willing. I'm very curious what I'm going to say, and it's going to muddle through my nervousness, but I want the one sentence to be clear that I support Sanctuary. Thank you for what you've done. It's a brave act. Sanctuary for immigrant and refugee people. And the reason I support that is because I have a body, and because I have a body, I have empathy, and because this body has been given to me by a huge intelligence, and it registers in my, every time I see another, I relate to human beings. I have so much respect for each of you commissioners for being able to sit up there and not roll your eyes and talk back to all these meetings you've had to sit through for years. And my body hurts. Not in a measurable way outwardly, and I'm with a body of other bodies, we all have bodies, of people who hurt when I see the people I have worked with in the past from 3 continents who are immigrants and not here because they want to be here, mostly. Unpleasant situations make them come to here. But I want sanctuary, so I want us to be talking about what's true sanctuary. How do we have sanctuary for people who like guns and people who don't like guns? People who drive big trucks, big noisy trucks, and people who drive little silent cars. People who are everything, however they need to be, because we have such a variety, a world of good people. What else? I have so much to say. So my main thing, how can we make real sanctuary for all these people? How can all of us live? And in our base, we're all so good humans. And I want us talking about, where did you come from? Where did I come from? What was it like for my people and your people when we first arrived? What was welcoming? What was hard? World be, and that Lane County can not be, and what can be. I want a good world. The Jesus that I know will be helping me.
Thank you. Stacy Pallado, followed by Anna Lardner, please.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Stacy Yates Piatto. I moved to Springfield in 2017 when I took a job with NETCO to develop their Youth Financial Foundations program. Today, I am a homeowner. I'm a wife of an Army disabled veteran, and I'm a parent to a kid that's attending school in the Springfield School District. I'm coming to you today. Last time I was here, I had my baby girl on my hip, and I was asking you to consider winter shelter options for young people. Today, I'm coming to you, and I'm asking you a specific request to pause and investigate before approving the third item in your consent calendar this morning, specifically the action related to the spin down of the Trillium Health Plan Housing First Grant for Homes for Good. This recommendation deserves closer scrutiny. I was hired in February to become the first full-time on-site supervisor at the Commons on MLK. I was so excited for this opportunity. When I first heard about this project being discussed, I went to Steve Manila's office at his Health and Human Services office to talk to him about my experience developing on-site programming for permanent supportive housing in Austin, Texas. When I was hired in February, I interviewed with the permanent housing permanent supportive housing manager and the supportive housing director, and I asked them specifically, knowing that Quantum Residential is not a reliable property management partner, how does that work? How does this program work without a reliable property management partner? And they assured me that Lane County provided a lot of oversight to all of the on-site processes. So I took the job, I came on, and within the first week, I was really struck by the lack of compliance with Oregon landlord law and the lack of on-site processes. They did not align with Homes for Good policies, and they definitely did not align with best practices. There's been an incredible amount of funding to provide a wraparound services team on site. And on the Lane County website and on the Homes for Good website, it states that there's 24-hour on-site supportive services for the residents that live there, who are the most vulnerable, medically fragile people in our community. When I got there in the first week, I was out there trying to pick up trash and foils and needles and wanting to be a good neighbor to Lane County and to the University of Oregon. I ask you to check in with your staff, Maria Cortez, and ask about the amount of rental assistance dollars and landlord mitigation funds that have also been diverted to that project, as well as all of the dollars devoted to providing on-site supportive services.
Time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anna Lardner, followed by David Eigel, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Anna, and my pronouns are she, her. Thank you so much for having us here today and for releasing the draft of your statement. I remember coming here 5 months and a week ago, back on November 11th, I think, right after the election, to come and speak before you. And that was a really scary thing to do. I'd never spoken before the Board of County Commissioners before, and I've been really excited and happy with the way that the commissioners have held space for these concerns and have actually moved forward in conjunction with Mr. Mokrzycki right here in the county with making those requests for a sanctuary county a reality. Back in November, the transgender and immigrant communities had some fears that this federal administration would make good on its campaign promises to specifically target the immigrant, refugee, and transgender communities. And sadly, those promises have proven true once this administration took power in January. Since then, in addition to advancing several executive orders and federal policies that have attacked the rights of those communities, this administration has also done so in a way that represents a gross federal overreach that directly violates various provisions of state law. As part of this statement that you've issued, I am really excited that you are affirming state law and affirming Oregon's state law in particular to provide these protections and make sure that not only are we not cooperating with federal immigration authorities, but that we are also a place where anyone, immigrants, refugees, the trans community, and anyone who needs it can get the health care that they need. This statement represents something that's really beautiful and magical and shows that Lane County is a place that people can come to regardless of their background, and that Lane County will be a place that can provide them that health care and be a safe home for them. Earlier today, Mr. Brian Matthews cited some comments and some statistics from the Trevor Project, as well as some other sources, and those statements are true. I'm actually really glad he cited those, because those numbers exist in an environment where the trans community does not have supports, where the trans community, particularly trans young people, feel isolated and alienated. The statement that you are set to approve today, that statement will make sure that Lane County is not such an environment, that Lane County is a place where those young people will not face those adverse health outcomes, because it will be a safe home. It will be a safe place for them to grow up. Lastly, I want to end by saying I would love if the county would also consider adding one bullet point to this, which is just to update and create policies across Lane County to protect the rights of trans people and immigrants. Policy matters at the county level. We want to make sure the policies reflect the commitments of the statement. So thank you so much, and excited to hear your vote soon.
Thank you. David Eigel, followed by Brenda Kamanui.
David Eigel. I'm here today to ask the commissioners to require the Lane County History Museum during the upcoming county fair to inform the public of the extensive amount of misinformation included in the Racing to Change exhibit. Rather than dwell on the many negative things that were disseminated in recent years at the Lane County funded Lane County History Museum, I would like to mention my new website that's under construction that features our honored first permanent black resident, Wiley Griffin. Mr. Griffin was the best known and widely liked and appreciated citizen of Eugene. A bachelor several years before his death, he placed a thank you notice in a local paper to thank those who came to his home to care for him. Likewise, the members of the Elks Club, where he was employed when he died, went to his home to care for him in his final illness. They then paid for his funeral, burial, and wake. Mr. Griffin was quoted in the press as saying that the place he most wanted to live was Eugene. His passing was widely reported in the press. The final comment of an editorial praising him was that no angel would stop him from entering heaven. Despite the nonsense that some have been spewing lately, Eugene was never a sundown town. Thank you.
Thank you. Brenda, followed by Jennifer Tinsley, please.
Thank you, commissioners, for your work. I belong to a Christian faith community in Eugene that believes in loving your neighbor, including those who leave their homes because of violence and those of different gender and sexual identity. People are taught to hate with misinformation, lies, modeled behavior, or direct teaching. No God I know sanctions separating people into categories to minimize their humanity and deny them rights. The Lane County Commission has done the right thing in drafting language to support all its people. I urge the Commission to firmly support the Sanctuary Promise Act by adding a commitment to update and create policies across Lane County to protect the rights of transgender people and immigrants. We live in a country that we love, but that is becoming unrecognizable as one democratic institution and one democratic right after another is swept away with the stroke of a pen, or too many pens. Our hearts are heavy with daily news of what we are losing, from our treasured gem National Park Service to voting rights. Let Lane County be a beacon of humanity, kindness, and the embrace of constitutional rights.
Thank you. Jennifer Tinsley, followed by Jacob Griffin, please.
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Steve. I'm from South Eugene. I believe that's Lori Trieger's district, but I come here as a constituent of all of you, being from Lane County. My voice is going to crack, but we're going to get through this. I'm going to go back to a date that is hard for me to go back to, but I want to get into the public record my personal experience of the sanctuary policy. July 13th, 2023, I was a passenger on a motorcycle. It was a beautiful summer day coming back from Cottage Grove, Oregon by the lake. We were almost into town when we were hit. We were traveling 55 miles an hour. We were hit head on. The accident reconstructionist told us we were found 50 feet from where we were hit. The driver of the motorcycle was life-flighted to Riverbend, and I was taken by ambulance. The driver fled from the scene. KEZI put out on a newscast later that night, "Please help us identify the suspect in this car." As the sheriff's department was looking for help, they were able to find this person a few days later. This person came into the country illegally from Guatemala and is here under our sanctuary policy. This person did not have a job, did not have a driver's license, did not have car insurance. I didn't know at the time, but my personal car insurance, when I told them I was on a motorcycle, they said, "Oh, you didn't know, but because you're on a motorcycle, your insurance isn't going to cover this." Because he didn't have insurance, I was left with all of the bills. When we went to court, the judge, before sentencing in this building, actually asked, "Why did you not call 911? I understand the fear that you had. You left, but why didn't you not call 911? You left those people to die on the side of the highway." And I quote, he said to the judge, with his court-appointed interpreter. I didn't call 911 because I don't speak English. It took me months of recovery. I had broken feet, I was missing toenails, I was covered in road rash. I'm lucky to be alive, though. I'm thankful to be alive. Most people who have that kind of accident don't make it out. I work a full-time job, but have had to get another job, door dashing nights and weekends, just to keep up on the medical bills that have impacted me. I'm just asking that my story get into the public discourse and be taken under consideration when you are considering what it truly means to be a sanctuary state and to be a sanctuary county. What does that really mean? And please consider everybody that it does impact, because it impacted me greatly, and I have physical scars. They're never gonna go away. I have mental scars that aren't gonna go away.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jacob Griffin, followed by Sarah Walters.
Good morning, Commissioners, County Exec. I've been here several times, but I'm going to start today by telling you that when I read the Sanctuary Promise draft that you sent out, I cried. And I don't know any trans people who didn't cry. It's beautiful and affirming. I want to thank all of the very first speakers, the ones who spoke against this act. I don't think I could have asked for a better explanation of why this is so important to us. You came out this morning to speak against my right to exist and have medical care. I didn't come out and say Christians shouldn't have medical care. I didn't say fat people shouldn't have medical care. I didn't say black people. I didn't come out to do those things. The reason that we need this protection is because of you. It is because of the way that you perceive us, not who we are, but who you have perceived without getting to know us. I have several times invited people to be in touch with me and to go out for coffee with me and ask me all your questions and all your concerns. But you haven't. You've just proceeded. And the reason that dysphoria is listed as a mental illness is because it is, and it's treatable. It's treatable by transitioning. Once a person is transitioned, they are no longer considered mentally ill. As in a person who is anorexic who begins to have a healthy relationship to food no longer is considered mentally ill. A person who is bipolar who takes certain medications and is under control is considered no longer so mentally ill as maintained. You are our problem. Your dislike, your refusal to learn are our problem. There are 12-year-old children sitting at home today hearing your dislike, your distrust, your belief that we are bad people. 12-year-olds, just like that young woman, who are hearing from you that their existence bothers you. And that makes them depressed and suicidal. The depression and suicidal is not inherent to being trans. I am a happy man. I am loved by my family. I am loved by my synagogue. I am loved by my community. I do good things. It is you who are assigning us the bad things. We are not. You are coming here to tell us that we are wrong and bad. We did not come out to do that to you. We would protect you. You are the reason we need these rights. And by the way, there are no special rights. There's a gigantic, unending pool of rights available.
Sorry,
if
Jacob,
I
your
get
time is
care,
up.
it doesn't hurt.
Thank you. Sarah Walters, followed by Rabbi Rufi Sophia.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, residents of Lane County. I am not a good public speaker. I will do my very best to make it short and simple. First, I wanted to address what the person who was just speaking said. I don't see anyone in this audience or anyone in my neighborhood or anyone in my social circle who would call a transgender person a bad person. We're not judging you on who you are as people. We do not want to be forced to pay for your medical care, for your transitioning, your gender transition surgery. We do not want to be forced to pay for your medications. All of it is extremely expensive, and it is covered. It's my understanding that it's covered by Medicaid if they deem it necessary. I don't know what the criteria is. That is a separate and very valid issue that needs to also be discussed, I think, with the Lane County residents and taxpayers. We are not judging you as people. We are judging you insofar as we do not want to be financially responsible for your personal sexual identity and gender choice. That is your business and your business alone. We do not want to pay for it. We work hard to support our own families. Some of us work 2 jobs. Some of us work more than 2 jobs. It's very expensive to live in the 21st century in the United States of America. It's very hard to keep up with just manage our own costs. A lot of us can't afford health care for ourselves. So why would we support your health care? It is not a right, it is a privilege. Just like citizenship is a privilege, when you come into this country illegally, you are not an immigrant, you are an illegal alien. You have to follow the rules and the laws of the country that you enter. Your home country also has citizenship laws that need to be followed and that are enforced by law. Every country does. You can enter a country legally or illegally. If you enter it illegally, you are breaking the law and you are an illegal alien. Again, no one is targeting illegal aliens. No one is targeting LGBTQ or transgender people. I know of no one that targets them.
I'm sorry, your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rabbi Ruhi Sophia, and followed by Patty Duncan, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your patience this morning with all of us. And I want to particularly wish a speedy and complete healing to your wife, Commissioner Farr. Thank you for being with us from afar. I'm Rabbi Ruhi Sophia Motzkin-Rubenstein, live here in Lane County. I'm speaking as the Rabbi of Temple Beth Israel, the co-chair of Interfaith Clergy United, a wife, a mother. Thank you, Commissioners, for taking so seriously the concerns you've heard these past few months from our transgender and immigrant community members and allies who have continued to show up here despite the hateful rhetoric and dehumanization that they encounter, including in this room sometimes. In a moment when these communities are particularly under attack from our federal government and in the media, it is courageous of the county government to stake a position that all in this county, regardless of gender identity or immigration status, are entitled to safety, access to medical care, and freedom from persecution. These are not special privileges, but basic rights that I think many of us who are not marginalized tend to expect. Although certainly, in recent years, all of our rights are threatened, and as some of the previous commenters have noticed, our medical system is broken and failing to serve most of us. But I don't see that as a zero-sum issue. And I wonder whether some of the previous commenters truly understand what it means to have your very existence under attack, your community and body threatened with physical violence. I very much hope they never have to experience that. This is not about a question of whether we approve of a particular lifestyle or who we want to share a bathroom with. This is about whether or not everyone in this community is worthy of dignity and safety, regardless of whether we approve of how they are living their lives. In my mind, that is what it means to respect each other as created in the image of a loving God. Jewish classical texts, thousands of years old, recognize and refer to multiple genders beyond the male and female binary, so this is also an issue of religious freedom. Thank you again, commissioners, for your courage.
Thank you. I believe it's Patty Duncan. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. And then we'll go to the online queue.
Hi, I'm Patty Duncan, and I live on Green Hill Road in Eugene. And I appreciate the respect in the room today and your openness to hear all comments. I want to just tell you a brief story. I took a walk. I usually take walks. And on this walk, several years ago, I met a family and became close with this family and was invited even to the wedding of the young woman that I met last summer. And on my walk Sunday evening, I saw in the distance a family walking, little children. I thought, oh, maybe it's their family because she got married and moved away, and it was. And we all greeted each other and walked together. They're an immigrant family. The lady I met is second-generation immigrant, and her parents immigrated in 1999, so 3 generations, wonderful family, hardworking, and I believe America has a legal path to immigration that really wonderful people can be a part of our community. The recent flood of illegal immigration has damaged our country, and I believe it's just and right to remove the people that came in illegally, that they are not true immigrants to our country, and urge a no vote on the proposal put before the county trying to make a sanctuary or affirm sanctuary status for illegal immigration. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get to the online queue, let me notice the statement that we made opening this is that we had a time certain. Our Commissioner Farr is still on standby. He's graciously given us another 15 minutes. So due to the announcement I made this morning of going to a certain time period, we are going to allow the online queue, but we will cut the online queue off at 10:13. So if there's other folks online that know of each other who want to say similar things, I would hope that maybe you could consolidate some of those. But at 10:15, the public comment on the online queue will end. So I just want to make that announcement because we wanted that to do, we wanted you to have your 3 minutes of comment, and so that's the risk we took, and so here's where we're at. So Jessica, who's the first one online that has their hand in the queue, please?
Thank you, Chair. Our first speaker will be Laura Shu. Laura, you should be able to speak now.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you, Pat, for being willing to stay on a little bit longer, and my heart really goes out to you and your wife. I am here to speak with you again about local access roads, which are publicly owned roads that the county has left out of its road system. I'm now on the board of the River Road Community Organization, and today I speak to you on behalf of the board, which is delivering this letter that I'll have to email to you later today, urging you to take these roads into the county system. The central issue is one of fairness. There's nothing that distinguishes most of these LARs from county-maintained roads in our neighborhood, and LAR residents pay the same taxes as everyone else, but none of those taxes go to their own roads. Now, we understand the budget issues that you're facing, and realize that in accepting these roads with no increase in budget, most of them would not get immediate maintenance, but they would have a fair opportunity of receiving future maintenance as funding permits. This would relieve homeowners of the maintenance burden, eliminate potential homeowner liability for road conditions, and the hit to property values. Now, if these roads had been taken in decades ago as they should have been, then today, current county roads would be receiving slightly less maintenance or maintenance slightly delayed, but all of the roads in the to an the city try to expedite that. And we feel that the impact first be brought up to current standards for new roads, since they should have been accepted decades ago. When Public Works spoke at our ARCO meeting last month, they laid out all of the reasons why they shouldn't take responsibility for these roads. I humbly ask you for your work session on LARs next week that you have them instead bring you a plan for how they can get it done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next to speak will be Amy Ansa.
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, hi, my name is Amy Ansa. You've all seen me here before. I just wanted to first off thank Commissioner Farr just so much for being here today. Having you here means a ton to me as somebody who also serves on a commission. I know that it's a lot of work and it is a lot of sacrifice that you have to make to serve the public. And I hope that everything gets better soon for you and your wife. I wanted also to say that the affirmation of these protections would mean so much to me and my family and my community. It's affirmations of protections that already exist in Oregon law. It's about knowing or helping people to know that Lane County is a place that loves and cares for people, regardless of their gender identity or expression or their status as an immigrant. On that thought too, if you like going to the store and buying cheap meat, then you are pro all types of immigration because it is immigrants that come into this country undocumented that work those jobs. If you like your cheap fruits and vegetables, you are pro immigration because it is those immigrants that come in and work those types of jobs. If you like your lawn being manicured, same thing. A large percentages of the people that work in those fields are coming into the country any way they can in search of a better life. They're people just like us and just like any of us. We've been fighting to make Lane County a place that is welcoming to everyone. It's not about our life choices. Being trans is not a choice. If it is, I promise you, it is a terrible choice. It has been one of the hardest things I've ever done, being my true self. But every day, I know that I am better off for it. My community is better off for the strength that I bring and the strength that we collectively bring, and the strength that my children bring, and the strength that everybody in our community brings. And we're going to keep fighting, and we need you to fight with us, and we love you. I love all of you. I thank you all so much for being you. Yes, thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you. Next to speak will be Karis Warren.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I really just want to say thank you. This is going to be a whole list of thank yous. First, I want to say thank you to Commissioner Farr for being here. I'm in your district, and it means a lot knowing what you're going through to have you here with us today. So thank you very much, and I hope things get better for you and your wife. I also want to thank the board for the draft of the sanctuary statement. Again, I think Jacob mentioned this earlier, not a single trans person I know read it and did not cry. It was very meaningful and also very well informed, and I appreciate that. I want to say thank you to the Public Health Advisory Committee as well for their work on that. I want to say thank you to the medical professionals who were here today who are actually qualified to speak to some of these things about trans healthcare. Dr. Carrie Walters-Warren is a licensed psychologist and really made a terrific case, and I want to thank her. I want to thank my rabbi, Rabbi Ruhi. Thank you for being here and representing us. I really, really appreciate the support. And I want to say thank you to everybody who has been supportive in all of this. And I also want to say thank you to the people who have not been supportive. Some of the comments that we heard, particularly at the beginning, I think Jacob said it best. There could not be a better example of why we need the sanctuary statement and why we need these policies to be followed. It was like reading some of the worst 4chan comments I think I've ever encountered. You know, when you cherry pick out of the DSM and you don't know what you're doing, you can cause a whole lot of harm. And I'm actually really glad to the first speaker again for bringing up some of those statistics about depression, because those are in fact true, and they are true because of the comments like we've heard today. They are true because of the culture that is set up in place to cause the harm that that we've witnessed in some of these comments today. In saying that, I personally would love to have coffee with any of you. Just sit down and talk to me. Stop hiding behind your hate and sit down and talk to me. You can find me. So again, everybody, thank you so much. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Next to speak will be Jolene Simpson.
Good morning.
Good morning. You may begin.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. My name is Jolene Simpson, and I am here yet again to bear witness to the county decisions regarding protections in healthcare for members of our community. I am a member of the LGBTQ community, as are my family members. I am also a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a retired nurse practitioner, and also the descendants of foreign-born great-grandparents. Today, it is time for you to decide publicly and specifically to support protections to some of the most vulnerable people in our county, for those facing the prospect of being disappeared to a deportation black hole or prison system with no legal protections, no due process, no legal recourse, for those facing the prospect of being torn away from family and community. It is time to stand up and say we will offer the same protections we offer every other member of our community, the right to safety and sanctuary where we live. And it is time to extend protections and continue medically recommended health care for all who access county health services, including transgender people. Medical care that promotes health and well-being, provides for mental health services and medical services that are supported and recommended by all leading professional medical organizations. Services much like treatment for other medical needs. I urge you to consider the many eloquent voices that have spoken out courageously over the last many months. We've heard today examples of targeted and judgmental attitudes. My family and I personally have experienced in our county harassment, bullying, and physical assault in schools, at home in our neighborhood, and in public spaces. What we heard today demonstrates from some speakers is a lack of understanding, leading to fear and anger. It is time for you, county commissioners, to put your mark on the side of justice and uphold our most cherished values of equality and legal protections for all. Thank you very much, and all good wishes to Pat Farr and family.
Back to you.
Okay, thank you very Very much. It is now 10:15. My apologies for those who are waiting online, but this is all the time we have available for public comment at this time if we're going to include Commissioner Farr. I would like to also make some adjustments on the fly to the agenda. Mr. Mokrajewski, I'd like to move our item number 4 consent calendar into the afternoon, as well as the County Administrator B announcements. And I'd like to get right to the business of the 5A order in the matter of the statement of reaffirming the Oregon Sanctuary Promise Act and supporting the transgender community in Lane County. And Mr. Mokrajewski, you have your team of awesome, qualified people that have spent a lot of great time on this, and I'd love to have them be introduced by you and the accolades that they deserve.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I'll welcome, as you noted, Chair, 3 individuals up here. Greg Rickoff is our Assistant County Administrator. Latifa Amato is our Equity Manager, and Eve Gray is our Health and Human Services Director. These 3 individuals worked under my direction on behalf of the Board of Commissioners at your direction to develop the statement and have the conversations first with members of the community that have happened over the past several weeks. So they will add to anything. I'm just going to share a few comments here, ask my colleagues if they'd like to add anything, and then turn it over, Commissioners, to you for questions and comments. First, I want to just take a minute to talk about what this statement is and what it is not from a factual perspective. We heard a lot of, and I will address some of the public comments here this morning in a moment. We heard a lot of comments about the statement, and I just want to be very clear, and I hope that this doesn't burst any bubbles for folks, but there really is nothing in this statement that is new or different from actions that the county has historically taken or continues to take. If you look at the first 3 paragraphs really are sort of a recitation of county values, and behaviors that we have that have been long existing, commitments to this work of supporting everybody in our community. And then the bulleted list of commitments specifically, and I'm not going to read all of this for time's sake, but talk about welcoming diverse people to our community, upholding the laws that exist in the state under the Oregon Sanctuary Promise Act, not requesting information from individuals except as is required by law, providing equal access for individuals in our community for services, particularly healthcare services, providing accessible signage and messaging and information that we provide from the public standpoint to all members of the community, using every avenue permitted under the law to support the state of Oregon affirming the rights of transgender people, and the right to access to health care, upholding the rights of people to seek gender-affirming care, and then challenging federal policies that may harm transgender individuals. So these are all things that are either exist under state law that we have adhered to and continue to adhere to, or they are statements reaffirming work that we have always done. It's my estimation there were some comments about the cost and financial impact. There's nothing in this statement, if the board were to approve it, that obligates the county specifically to any new costs. Again, it's a statement of. So I say I don't want to burst any bubbles. I think there's perspective about what this statement may or may not do, and I just want to be very clear that this is these are things that the county has and continues to do under existing law, policies and procedures. I also want to be clear. It's our estimation and belief that the direction of the board was that this statement is not intended to be to provide more rights to some and less rights to others. It is not intended to favor or support individuals above other individuals, but really the work that we do, that we oftentimes is called DEI or equity or belonging type work. This is really work that is in recognition of the support for all people in our community. The people that we employ within our organization to make sure that they can be their authentic selves, that they can work in a space that supports them for who they are, so we can get the best work out of the people that we employ and provide the best services to the community. And that in the community that we support an environment where all of our members of our community can thrive, can be authentically who they are, can be supported, can feel safe to live their lives in the way that they would like to. And so that's what this work is about. And I know that sometimes the work that work can get politicized. This is not about a political agenda. It's really about supporting the people that we employ and the people that we serve in the community. Very basic in that regard. The work that's happened to develop this statement has come from both the foundation of that, our practices, policies, values that we have long established in Lane County, as well as conversations with community members and groups. And these three individuals in particular have had several weeks of various meetings to listen to the community. I want to touch on that just very briefly to say that we do our best work when we do it in partnership with the community. And so, again, this is intended to be a reflection of our collective values as an organization and a community, shaped hand in hand with community members. And in doing that, we create stronger, more responsive, and more just outcomes. That really should be the foundation of all the work that we do in government, is to do it hand in hand with the community. And I will say that and I think I can speak for my colleagues here as well, have been very moved over the last, I think, Ms. Lardner said 5 months and a week or something to that effect. So many people have come to these board meetings to speak under public comment and provide various perspectives. And today, I want to just acknowledge there's a lot of emotion in this room today. People that feel very strongly about these issues, and they came to speak to you and to all of us. That's a really powerful thing that the public, and it's a unique thing that we hold dear in our free democracy, that we allow people to come and voice their perspective on issues in the public sphere, and they can really say what they want to say, and we listen to those perspectives. The foundation of that democracy and the ability for those people to come and voice and to feel safe in voicing different opinions and have that disagreement is really important. I know that it has moved myself, my colleagues, I know all of you commissioners, and just want to thank the individuals who are here today and who have come over the past 5+ months to speak on these issues and who come regularly to speak on public issues. I will note here in conclusion of my comments, there's a report, a policy brief that came out from the United Nations in 2021 about trust in government. You'll be shocked to know that trust in government worldwide varies. There is not 100%, I was shocked when I read this report, that there is not 100% trust in government. And certainly in our United States of America, this report 4 years ago found about 50%. The level of trust in American government is about 50%. It has dropped since that time to, I think, around 40% or so. But what this policy brief does, this sort of nonpartisan policy brief does, is it breaks down the factors that contribute to trust in government or distrust in government, and it talks about design factors and performance factors. I'm not going to go through all this, it's rather academic, but I think to me there's a really important point that the design factors, particularly in a democracy, for trust in government focus on the understanding of majority rule, that there is a majority, that the majority rights or the majority interests govern, and that is equally as important as the majority rule are the rights of the minority, that the minority rights, whatever those minority rights may be, that the rights of the people that aren't in that majority, and that majority and minority shifts over time, right? That having accountability and respect for different perspectives. So I just wanted to offer that as, our job is not to offer you opinions and our own individual opinions, though we all will say that we have been moved by the process that we've gone through, but it is to present to you, based on your direction and guidance, good facts and information and recommendation based on your interests and the common good of the community, and to reflect the system of government that we have set up here that we hold dear, and to try to keep that reflecting the needs of the community. So that was a lot, and I want to ask if my colleagues who have been deeply involved in this work would like to add anything.
I'd like to add a couple points. First, I wanted to just say thank you. My name is Leticia Amado, and pronouns she, her, ella. Thank you just for your time, attention, and trust in engaging our communities on these ongoing conversations, crucial conversations. Also, today's item reflects Lane County's deep and continuing commitment to equity. This work is not new. And when we think about belonging for all people, we do really mean all people. And that also means that we have to recognize when certain groups are under attack, particularly by this federal administration today. This statement really honors the voices of our immigrant, refugee, and LGBTQ2S+ communities, and it does build on the board's long-standing actions to uphold dignity, protect rights, and foster a culture of belonging for all people. I want us to remember that the work at this county started with the Human Rights Commission. So human rights. That's how this work started here, and it has shifted and evolved, and names have changed, but at the heart and the root of it is around human rights. So thank you for just the opportunity to be engaged with community.
Oh, sure. I'm getting expectant looks. So I appreciate the opportunity to be involved in crafting this statement. And in my mind, what the statement is really about is being able to serve the community, all members of our community, in the best interest of everyone in our community. The reality is that if people who need access to care that we provide in Health and Human Services don't have access to care, their health deteriorates. And that costs all of the community more if we don't have the right access and systems that people can navigate. So ultimately, I see this statement as about us keeping our local community healthy. And that doesn't say anything about federal rules and laws, which still exist and are still upheld in Lane County by the federal administration. But allows for us to provide a safe space so that the people who are in our community right now can remain healthy in our community right now. That is ultimately the goal, and really not from a Health and Human Services perspective, not speaking to anything else aside from everyone needs access to care and to the services that we provide.
Chair Lovell, Commissioners, Greg Rickoff, Assistant County Administrator. I use he, him pronouns. I couldn't say it more eloquently than my colleagues. All means all. And as we have said repeatedly in this room, discrimination has no place in Lane County. It's been an honor to work with the community members to help capture ideas and form this work. But at the end of the day, this is your day. So I'll withhold any other comments to respond should you have questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board for our staff?
I can't tell if Commissioner Farr, I wanted to make sure he has a chance, but I didn't know if you wanted to start us off with conversation or.
I'm getting to that in just a second. Yeah. I'm asking for just questions to the staff, and then we'll go into comments. So there's any questions for the staff? There's not. So
Well, I do. I was just wanting to understand the process, whether you wanted a motion and then discussion of the motion, but so I do have questions if what you want is just questions for staff, if I may, Chair.
Okay. Please.
Thank you. First, and before I forget, just a procedural thing. If we get to a point of making a motion, I would like to request just a Scrivener's amendment. So I don't know, I'm asking council if it needs to go into the motion, if and when the time comes, to amend just the actual statement is referred to in the board order, but the statement doesn't have any notation on it connected to the board order. So if the two pieces were to get separated, it wouldn't make sense. So that's just a Scrivener's amendment to make sure that the statement itself has written on it, should we adopt it, that it refers to board order number, whatever it might be.
Yes, Commissioner, I think we can make the notation on the bottom right-hand corner to reflect that, essentially adding adopted by order in the reference.
But do you need that as part of a motion if we get to a motion today, or is that just so noted?
So noted.
Thank you.
I'll take care of that.
Thank you. And then to that, because this really is a moment of policy making, but we also don't want the reasons and the motivations and the importance of the policy to get lost in the procedural activities of today. So I think most folks in the room, unless this is your first time watching a commissioner meeting, know where I stand, which is in strong and full support of this statement, of all the work that went into it, and of every member of this community who has spoken in favor of it. But as others have said, I am also supportive of and deeply distressed that there are so many people who see themselves as being excluded from care and consideration by this organization from this statement. I printed it out and highlighted, in fact, it says the words "every person" 3 times. It says the rights of people in our community. It refers to everyone, and it explicitly and specifically calls out the need to ensure we are clear in our commitment to protect some folks explicitly named, but the statement is for everyone. It says it right in it. So I'm sad on behalf of folks who feel that they are excluded with the potential passage of this statement, because you most certainly are not. And if you are ever explicitly at risk of being denied services or your rights, I am here to help and protect you as well. That is an absolute commitment that I would hope and assume everyone at this dais shares. The administrator addressed some of the items that came up around fiscal impact and affirmation of what the Sanctuary Promise Act is. We are not here to provide protections outside the scope of what our ability is. To the person who talked about being in an accident, the incidental fact of the immigration status of that person that was involved has nothing to do with the Oregon Sanctuary Promise Act. This is specifically about cooperation across governmental entities when it comes to immigration enforcement. That's what it means. I think of all the public comment we heard this morning, one of the most compelling pieces for me was someone who asked the question, how do we provide sanctuary, and that's both a legal term and somewhat of a term of art, when there are conflicting needs, when people want sanctuary from one thing that conflicts with what somebody else wants. And that is, in fact, what I think we've been wrestling with. And I see this statement again because it is about every person. Threads that needle. So my question for staff is, and Mr. Mokrzycki mentioned us as a work site as well, we have been asked by my count about 70 people through email request and a few of our commenters this morning to add to this statement a bullet point that says that we also commit to update and create policies across Lane County to protect the rights of transgender people and immigrants. And I know this has been through several iterations, and there was a variation of that statement in an earlier iteration. And so my question for staff is why that doesn't appear in this final draft. And for me, one of the most important reasons to ask to have that added is because then that includes us internally as an organization as well, that our policies and our commitments are also to our own workforce of 2,000, give or take, whereas the statement as it stands now is very much outward facing and about the services we provide to the community.
Yeah, I would, couple points there, Commissioner Chair and Commissioner Trieger. I think the reason that it's not in here is because it is more of a reflection internally of policies and procedures being reviewed. And the statement, in large part, expresses sort of more external engagement and work. I don't think it's a statement that is inconsistent at all, actually, with work that we're already doing. I'd ask Ms. Gray to add to these comments, but I know particularly in Health and Human Services and in other parts of Lane County, we're currently underway in reviewing in actively reviewing our policies. We're sort of always reviewing our administrative procedure manual and the policies that exist and the extent to which they are up to date and consistent with state and federal laws and rules. So I don't see an issue if the board would desire to include that statement. I would just say that much of that work is ongoing and continuing. And there needs to be, I think, an understanding that there's a lot of work that has to happen, generally speaking, around review of policies. And so that needs to happen, in the course of, as we work through various issues. And we have to sort of prioritize that work, if that makes sense from a workflow standpoint. It certainly is consistent with work that we're continuing to do.
Sure. So I think that our question about that part of the statement was, what does that mean to do that? And because it's kind of this ongoing, as Mr. Mokrzycki mentioned, it's really an ongoing commitment that we have in terms of ongoing review of our policies. Certainly in Health and Human Services right now, we have retained assistance from a consultant to review a number of our policies. Really, we identified those that have the highest risk of being non-inclusive for trans individuals in particular. And we have many, many comments. We're going through our policies, trying to make those adjustments. That's a project that we have ongoing right now. And we also have ongoing work, particularly around inclusivity and language access, because we were identifying that not all of our interpreters and translation consultants were translating in a culturally appropriate way, which means we might have had a document that was in another language, but it may not have actually meant what it meant in English. And that's a huge problem in access to services and care. So we have, again, a big group ongoing to work through how we assure the quality of our translation and interpretation services. And it's just kind of work that's never ending. So I think we can put it in a statement and acknowledge that we won't ever get to a point where it's done. And I think that maybe was our fear, is being held accountable to something that we weren't sure we would ever actually fully accomplish, because it's just, you look at it a year later and it's like, oh, wait, no, there's something else we could do.
Thank you. I appreciate that, but when I look at the bullets that we did include, I mean, some of them are more concrete, provide accessible signage, but many are, upholding the rights of people. That is also work clearly that is never done, or we wouldn't be having this agenda item before us today. So
Commissioner, can
when the time comes, I would love to.
Can I interrupt, please, a minute, please? We have 20 minutes for a time certain.
Thank you.
So
So
I'd like
when
to wind this up so other commissioners have time to weigh in, please.
When the time comes for a motion, if I am the one to make it, I will ask to have that amendment added to the statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Before we move into a motion and some comments from our commissioners, I do want to bear in mind, too, we have 20 minutes left, so we have about 4 minutes for each commissioner. I have spoken to Commissioner Farr prior to this meeting. He is asked to make the motion on this matter. Commissioner Farr, are you prepared to make a motion, sir?
Thank you, Chair. I am. Then I will speak to the motion.
Thank you. Please proceed.
And thank you for, I move to approve Order 250422-05, reaffirming Oregon Sanctuary Promise Act and affirming our support for the transgender community in Lane County, and adding an additional statement, update and create policies across Lane County to protect the rights of transgender people and immigrants.
I'll second.
Thank you.
If there's a second, I would speak to the motion.
Yes.
Second, Commissioner by Commissioner. There's been moved. Second by Commissioner Trieger. So it's been moved and seconded. And Commissioner Farr, you wish to speak to that motion? There any discussion of the motion? Let's proceed on, please.
I'll be very short. I'm not going to tell anyone what to believe and how to believe. I want to restate and reconfirm my support of Order 250422-05, reaffirming the Oregon Sanctuary Promise Act and affirming our support for the transgender community in Lane County. It's a compilation of values stated and acted upon since long before July 17, when we first began passing orders and statements supporting the people I serve in Lane County. We're a community of broad values and broad backgrounds and living conditions. Christians like me celebrated Easter this past weekend, many with family and with loved ones who even in our own families have different values and views. I'm going to reflect on the words of an Episcopal priest, Dr. Wesley Hill. Easter isn't about fleeing the real world, but becoming the community that serves the whole world, beginning with the poor, the disenfranchised, and the refugee. Easter fuels social activism. Easter is not just a day, but a season that lasts until Pentecost, a time of training and learning about our responsibilities to other people. And I'll state from the New Testament, Matthew 24, starting with verse 35, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in." And later the king said, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of these, the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." I'm in support of the statement. Thank you. Of the order. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioner wish to make comment? Commissioner Buck, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, everybody who've been coming and speaking out, and staff who've worked really hard on this particular statement. I fully support it. For those that may be watching, for those that may not feel comfortable coming in here in public, who are scared, who aren't sure how they're going to be treated from day to day, I want you to know that here at Lane County, you belong. We acknowledge your existence, but we go beyond that. You too, all trans immigrants, refugees, have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as everybody in our country does. What we're stating today, I know from my work here, we do this work every single day. But this is really just a codification of that work. Even if the words may not feel new to some of our internal staff, because we know we do this work every day, it may feel new to some people in the public who aren't as familiar with the equity work that we hold in such high value. I fully stand behind it. I couldn't be more proud to reaffirm statements like this each and every time they come to our board. Behind it are individuals that are family, our friends, our neighbors, even if we may not overtly know that. All people in Lane County deserve dignity and respect and inclusivity in all programs within Lane County. We serve you. We thank you so very much for continuing to hold us responsible and keeping us on task. This time in our nation is very different, and we tangibly feel that. It's important that we acknowledge that on the board, but it's also really important that you hold us accountable to follow each and every one of these statements that we've noted. Please return. Please continue to talk to us, and I will continue to work on your behalf and protect the most vulnerable in our community. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments or discussions to the motion? Mr. Chair, you have anything else to add? No? Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. If anybody thinks you know how you're going to vote seconds before a vote, I'll tell you you don't, and let me explain real quick. I've stated for couple of years now. I don't know if the county should make these kind of statements. You can tell the tension it brings, the unneeded tension. As has been mentioned, we've had 70, I thought it was closer to 100 emails about adjustments that people would like to see to this letter. And then we've had comment today, from a different side, asking for adjustments to this letter. We've had amazing staff working their tails off for this letter. And I don't know what draft we're on at this point, but we're halfway down the alphabet, I'll assure you. Hey, Mr. Mokrajewski, how many hours do you think we have wrapped up into this letter to try and try and make everybody happy, make everybody feel included? If you were going to guess.
There's 24 hours in a day, Commissioner.
There is.
There are nights and weekends.
There's nights and weekends, yeah.
Yeah, you know, a few hours.
Yes. So, I mean, and I'm not saying, I'm saying that to let everybody know how we prioritize this. The county has a lot of things going on, and we said, let's buckle down and let's get this letter right. And there's things that I would change on the letter, and there's things that other people would change on the letter, but we put that trust in our staff, and that's the letter that we came up with, and I was very happy with the letter. So I don't know which way I'm going to vote on this. A lot of you know I came from the construction background. I've literally been in the trenches with immigrants. And when I'm in the trenches, or when I was in the trenches with them, you would build that relationship by being taught about the things you have in common. It's everything. You do give them responsibility they don't think they deserve, but you assure them they do deserve it and that they will succeed. So, you know, those are the kind of actions in my world that you come from and you show people that they belong. I might have worked with trans, I don't know. But that's kind of the beauty of it. I didn't know, and we would have everything in common. You would have to look pretty long and hard to find somebody that thinks I slighted them. Because many of you are here today that have been here in the past, and I've assured you that you are welcomed in Lane County. And I love every single one of you, and that is a true statement. My hang up is these letters create tension. They do every single time. And in these uncertain times, do we need to add to that tension? Thanks, Chair. I don't know where we're going with this, but thank you.
Well said. Thank you, Vice Chair. If I might add, I agree with that. And Mr. Mokrajewski, you said something that was painfully obvious and an epiphany to all of us that we're not going to satisfy everyone. But the fact of the matter is you also described that the staff worked exemplary hours and effort on this. And I want to appreciate this, not only the staff that's here, but all the staff that is behind these three folks as well. This was something that we put our all into. And it was difficult because from your position, you have 5 different county commissioners who have 5 different constituent bases, perspectives, and opinions. And each one of us are standing on a certain pedestal, if you will, that the county sees us on. And that's a tough angle to meet. In baseball terms, you know, you could try this and hit a foul ball. But I think this one, though it's not a home run, it's at least a solid double. And I think that's something that if there's a solid double, each of us 5 commissioners could get behind, then that moves the county forward. I do, however, agree with the Vice Chair by saying that these create tension. And I don't know about you, but I feel the tension up here for the last 3 months. It's been difficult to run these meetings and hear the angst of people and then hear some counter opinions and just fuel all of the things that has happened. In fact, one of the meetings we had that we had to recess, it got so out of hand. And that bothers me. It bothers me that the county, whom I've heard many people in the public sector, in this public comment arena, say that they came to Lane County because they feel safe here and they've heard that this was a safe place. So Lane County historically has done some good things and some good things right. And I want to be a part of that and continue to be a part of that. I struggle with all of these differentiations between different classes. I struggle also, too, with this update on this when it says create policies across Lane County to protect the rights of transgender people and immigrants, when some of my colleagues had said how many times the word every person and all people was referred to in the sanctuary letter. So I'm wondering why, again, we make another statement with some exclusatory language, when really what I would think we would say would be update and create policies across Lane County to protect the rights of all people. Isn't that what we're here for? So I think as we continue to specify the letter based on our preferences or our backgrounds, I think we do ourselves a disservice. So I would support this letter without this added statement as it's written, as it was presented, and as a elected county commissioner who took an oath to support and defend the rights of all people that I spent 6 years in the military doing. That is what I'm committed to do. I don't care what you label yourself as, what you call yourself as, what group you belong to. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is Lane County's mission statement is that we will make everyone's lives better. And I'm on board with that, fully, wholeheartedly, and without exception. I've also heard the statements here say that people fear. There's much fear in this community, and I can't own your fear. You can't own mine. I have a hard time hearing some people's fear that I don't fear about things, but that's why it makes us unique. But what I heard more and more is that people want to feel safe. And my role as a county commissioner and my highest priority is public safety. And what I heard from people that came here and gave their time and testimony is that you care about public safety. And so what I can do as a county commissioner is ensure that our public safety is funded enough to where when you pick up the phone and you call because you've been violated, you've been slighted, your car's been keyed, you've been called a derogatory word, that somebody on the other end of that phone cares as much as you do about your safety and your fears, and we have the resources to allow them to respond. That's what I want to be a part of, and that's what I'm committed to today. So it's been moved and seconded with this added phrase. Commissioner Farr, do you wish to make any corrections to that based on what you've heard so far, sir?
Thank you for the request, Chair. Taking my words here, I would like to have a unanimous vote on this. I can't predict what the vote may be. Here's the audio check. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. So if a friendly motion were made to remove the addition, I would consider accepting that as a friendly motion.
I think that would be something that you could do on your own self, but I think your perception on a unanimous vote is very astute, sir.
And Chair Level, I wish to restate that I believe these words are very meaningful, particularly in light of the current situation that we have in the United States of America. We are, of course, sworn to uphold the rights of all of the people we represent and serve all of the people that we serve, as you have stated. But at this particular point in time, we have certain groups that are being targeted, and this statement covers, in a small way, those groups who feel particularly vulnerable today.
So, yes, Commissioner Buck.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, we do have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. I would be extremely disappointed if we did not vote on it in its full form. I think that's what the people have been asking and requesting. I mean, I want to see us vote on the original motion. I understand that if some people want to do an amendment, they can. I just don't think it's as robust. And at this time, at this moment in our country, with what our community is telling us, we need to stand strong, and we need to have a powerful statement, and the motion on the floor is a powerful statement.
Thank you. Commissioner Farr, Commissioner Trieger.
Thank you, Chair.
My apologies.
I also would like to see us vote on the motion that is on the table with the amendment, and I appreciate and respect the Chair's concern, but the addition does not say update and create policies across Lane County only to protect the rights of. And And so it's not an exclusive, it's an inclusive statement. And again, surrounded by language about every person and people in our community. This came before us at the request of constituents. This addition came to us at the request of constituents. This is to be responsive to the community, and I stand by seconding the original motion that has the addition of this, this statement, and would like to call the vote.
Thank you. Vice Chair, anything? Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Farr to, in the matter of statement of reaffirming Oregon Sanctuary Promise Act and supporting the transgender community in Lane County per order 25042205, and seconded by Commissioner Trieger. I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Vote passes 3-2. Thank you very much. So we have need for executive session. We have a time certain at 11 o'clock, gives us just a few minutes. We have 2 executive sessions that will follow that we will engage in. I will now read in both those executive sessions with one statement. The Board of County Commissioners will now meet in 2 executive sessions. Both sessions are to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. These executive sessions are held pursuant to ORS 192.6602F, which allows the Board of Commissioners to meet in executive session for the purposes listed. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive sessions. All other members of the audience are precluded from attending. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive sessions, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. Members of the news media are not allowed to tape, video, record, or otherwise record an executive session, and verbatim notes are prohibited. No decision may be made in executive session. We will return to public session at 1:30 p.m. today in Harris Hall. We are recessed.